honest, Rosa Ramirez never imagined a funeral could feel like an eviction. But there she was, standing in the front pew of a cathedral full of black coats, polished shoes, and soft, performative sobs, while a woman in diamonds pointed at her as if she were something stuck to the carpet. "Get her out," Vivian Hartwell said, loud enough to slice through the last notes of the organ. "She's not family." Two ushers hesitated. Their eyes flicked from Rosa's plain dress to Vivian's tailored morning coat and back again, like they were deciding which reality paid better. Rosa's fingers tightened around the only thing she'd brought besides grief, an antique oval locket. Warm from her palm, its gold worn smooth along the edges. It looked like jewelry. It wasn't. Inside that locket was a tiny brass key. And that key was the reason someone powerful wanted Rosa gone before the final hymn could end. Can you imagine being thrown out of a funeral while holding the one thing that could prove who really stole the fortune? The first usher stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Ma'am!" Rosa swallowed, her eyes stinging. "I'm here because Eleanor asked me to be." Vivian let out a brittle laugh. She asked the help to sit up front. "That's adorable, but no." A ripple of discomfort moved through the pews. People shifted, not because they cared, but because they didn't like watching class lines blur in public. Behind Vivian stood a man in a crisp black suit, hands folded, face calm in a way that didn't match the moment. The kind of calm you only saw in people who never had to beg. Gideon Blackwell. Most people in that room knew him as the family's quiet power, attorney in fact for business matters, the man who handled what the Hartwells didn't want, handled by regular lawyers. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't chase attention. But his gaze dropped to Rosa's hand, to the locket. For the smallest moment, recognition flickered in his eyes, like he'd been waiting for that exact object to appear. Vivian saw it too. Her smile tightened until it turned sharp. The second usher reached for Rosa's elbow. Rosa felt the old survival instinct rise up from somewhere deep. Disappear before the world decides you're guilty. Then she remembered Eleanor's last whisper, spoken from a hospital pillow, with breath thin as tissue paper. "Hold the line." Rosa clenched the locket as if it were Eleanor's hand. "Hold the line," she murmured, barely audible. Gideon took one step forward. "Stop," he said, not loud, not dramatic, just a word that carried weight. The ushers froze like their feet had been nailed to the marble. Vivian turned on him with a bright, offended smile. "Gideon, please, this is private." Gideon's eyes stayed on Rosa. "It is," he replied, "which is why the person Eleanor asked to be here stays." A murmur ran through the sanctuary like wind through dry leaves. Vivian's cheeks flushed. Asked by who? Gideon's gaze finally shifted to Vivian, cool and steady. By Eleanor. Vivian's smile cracked. No, she didn't. Rosa wanted to speak. To tell the room how she had fed Eleanor soup with shaking hands. How she'd slept in a chair beside her bed when the pain came in waves. How she had been there when family couldn't make it. But the room didn't want Rosa's truth. The room wanted a spectacle. Vivian was happy to provide one. "If she stays," Vivian announced, raising her voice, "then I leave, and I'm the one paying for this service." The sentence hung there like a velvet threat. People looked away. Money had a way of making everyone polite. Rosa's stomach tightened. Gideon exhaled slowly, then looked at Rosa again, like he was checking she was still holding herself together. "Where is it?" he asked quietly. Rosa blinked. "Where is what?" His eyes flicked to the locket, the thing she trusted you with. Rosa's throat tightened. "It's Here. Vivian's gaze sharpened. What is he talking about? Gideon didn't answer Vivian. He leaned closer to Rosa, voice low enough to be only for her. Hold the line, he murmured. Don't hand it to anyone you don't trust. Do you understand? Rosa's heart pounded, because suddenly she understood what she hadn't wanted to believe. Eleanor's last request wasn't sentimental. It was strategic, and Vivian knew it. If you're listening right now, comment where you're watching from. City, state, country, because this is the kind of slow-burn justice that lands hard at the end. And if you want more long, cinematic stories where power gets exposed and the overlooked finally win, make sure you're subscribed. Now let me take you back, because Rosa didn't wake up wanting a war. A war found her. It started 3 nights before the funeral, in a hospital room that smelled like lavender lotion and antiseptic. Eleanor Hartwell lay propped against pillows, sunlight threading through half-open blinds, turning her silver hair almost white. 92 years old, and still sharper than most people half her age. Even the nurses straightened when she looked at them. Rosa sat beside the bed, with a paper cup of tea cooling in her hands. She'd learned Eleanor's rhythms over 5 years, the way her breathing changed before the pain spiked, the way she liked her blanket folded, the old jazz station that made the room feel less sterile. Eleanor turned her head slightly. They think I'm already gone, she said. Rosa swallowed. No one thinks that. Eleanor's mouth curved, not quite a smile. Oh, sweetheart. People start dividing you up before you're buried. Rosa tried to smile back, but it came out brittle. I don't like when you talk like that. I don't either, Eleanor said. But I'm not afraid. I'm disappointed. Disappointed in what? Rosa asked softly. Eleanor's gaze drifted toward the window, then returned hard. That I raised a family in comfort and somehow taught them hunger anyway. Rosa didn't answer. She didn't have to. She knew the names that lived inside that sentence. Vivian Hartwell, the granddaughter who wore entitlement like perfume, and Caleb Sterling, Vivian's husband by law, not by soul, charming, helpful, always ready with a pen when Eleanor was tired. If Vivian was the blade, Caleb was the velvet glove covering it. Eleanor reached under her blanket and brought out something wrapped in tissue paper. Come closer, she whispered. Rosa leaned in, pulse quickening. Eleanor pressed the object into Rosa's palm, an antique locket, oval gold, worn at the edges, the hinge solid, the clasp clicking shut with a quiet finality. It's beautiful, Rosa whispered. It's not for beauty, Eleanor said flatly. Rosa looked up, confused. Eleanor's eyes drilled into hers. They've been moving things, she said, signing things, selling things, and when I tried to stop it, they smiled at me and told me to rest. Rosa's breath caught. What things? Eleanor squeezed Rosa's hand with surprising strength. Hold the line. Rosa's eyes filled. Eleanor, listen, Eleanor said, voice thin but steady. In my study, behind my husband's portrait, there is a wall safe. You've dusted around that frame 100 times. You never saw the safe because you weren't meant to, not until now. Rosa's heartbeat thudded hard. This locket contains the key, Eleanor continued. Inside that safe is the only document that matters, a codicil, a sealed letter, and proof. Proof of what? Rosa whispered. Eleanor's lips pressed together, eyes turning cold. Proof of who's been stealing from me while I'm still alive. Rosa's mouth went dry. Why are you giving this to me? Eleanor's gaze softened for a moment, making her look less like a wealthy matriarch and more like an exhausted woman who had carried too much. Because they don't see you coming, she whispered. They see you as background. Rosa flinched. That's not... It's exactly what it is, Eleanor said gently. And for once, being underestimated might save you. Rosa's chest tightened. But I'm not family. Eleanor held her gaze. You are someone I trust. That's rarer than blood in my world. Rosa's hands shook around the locket. What do I do? You do not give it to Caleb, Eleanor said, voice sharpening. You do not give it to Vivian. You do not give it to the lawyer they control, and you do not open that safe alone. Rosa's pulse spiked. Then who? Eleanor coughed, then swallowed, eyes narrowing with effort. Gideon. Rosa blinked. Gideon Blackwell. Eleanor nodded. He's the only one who won't bend for them. He's the only one I've seen look at money like it's a tool, not a god. Rosa's voice shook. Why would he help me? Eleanor's eyes glinted. Because he owes me, and because he knows what happens when power has no witness. Rosa's vision blurred. I don't want to fight. Then don't fight, Eleanor whispered. Hold the line, let the truth fight. Rosa swallowed. Hold the line? Eleanor's mouth softened. Good. Then Eleanor reached up and touched Rosa's cheek with trembling fingers. You were kind when you didn't have to be, Eleanor whispered. Don't let them punish you for that. Rosa's tears fell silently. 3 hours later, Eleanor was gone. And Rosa's life split into before and after. The next morning, the Hartwell house felt wrong, too quiet, too staged, like grief had been vacuumed up before it could settle. Rosa moved through the kitchen on autopilot, making coffee nobody asked for, wiping counters that didn't need wiping, because keeping her hands busy was the only way to keep her heart from breaking open. The front door slammed, high heels on marble. Vivian arrived like a storm dressed in couture. She wore expensive black that looked like a statement. Her hair was pulled tight. Her makeup was flawless, as if crying was something she'd schedule later. Behind her came Caleb Sterling, carrying a leather portfolio and wearing grief like a well-fitted mask. Oh, Rosa, Caleb said warmly, stepping into the kitchen like he belonged there. We're so sorry. You must be devastated. Rosa's throat tightened. I am. Vivian's eyes swept the kitchen and landed on Rosa with thin contempt. Leave the coffee, she said. We'll have catering. Rosa swallowed. I was just... You were doing your job, Vivian cut in. Thank you. We'll take it from here. Caleb's gaze flicked to Rosa's collar, where the locket chain hid beneath fabric. Rosa felt it like a cold finger down her spine. Caleb stepped closer, lowering his voice into something friendly. May I ask you something? Rosa forced herself to meet his eyes. Yes. Before Eleanor passed, Caleb said gently, did she give you anything? Any instructions? Families like to honor last wishes. We just want to make sure nothing gets misplaced, Vivian scoffed. If she gave the help something, it was probably a tip. Rosa's cheeks burned, but she kept her face still. Caleb's smile tightened. Vivian, that's not fair. It's not cruel to say the truth, Vivian replied. Rosa heard Eleanor's earlier words like a heartbeat. They don't see you coming. Caleb watched Rosa's face. Just tell us, he said softly. We're grieving. We don't want confusion. Misplaced confusion. The language of predators pretending to be caretakers. Rosa took a breath. She didn't give me anything, she said. Caleb's eyes narrowed for half a second, then softened again. Okay, he said. If you're sure. Vivian turned away. We need the will. Harlan will handle it. Rosa's stomach clenched. Harlan Price, the family attorney in name. Everyone in the county knew Harlan's real client was whoever wrote the biggest checks. Eleanor's warning echoed. Not the lawyer they control. That afternoon, the house filled with relatives who hadn't visited in years and neighbors bringing casseroles for show. Staff moved quietly, already taking cues from Vivian like Eleanor had never existed. Rosa tried to fade into the background, but grief made her slower. Anxiety made her careless. When Rosa passed the hallway outside Eleanor's study, she froze. Vivian stood at the study door, Caleb beside her, and two men in suits were inside moving boxes. Rosa's breath caught. "What are you doing?" Vivian turned, eyes cold. "Estate matters." "Eleanor didn't want anyone in there yet," Rosa said, voice shaking. Vivian laughed. "Eleanor is gone. Rosa, she doesn't want anything anymore." Caleb stepped forward, smile gentle. "We're securing valuables. Rumors spread fast. We're protecting the estate." Protecting? Rosa recognized the lie immediately. They weren't protecting anything. They were searching. Rosa's mind raced. Behind the portrait, wall safe, codicil, proof. If they found the safe before Rosa could bring Gideon, it would vanish. Rosa forced her voice calm. "I need to get my things," she said. "I'll leave after the funeral." Vivian smiled like she was bored. "Good." Caleb's eyes stayed on Rosa. "You can stay in the guest cottage until then," he said warmly. "No need to rush." It sounded kind. It wasn't. It was containment. They wanted Rosa close, so she couldn't run. Also, they could watch her. Rosa nodded. "Thank you." She walked away slowly, calmly. The moment she turned the corner, her legs started shaking. She locked herself in the laundry room and pulled out her phone with trembling hands. Gideon Blackwell. Eleanor had given one name. Rosa found his number in an old contact list Eleanor kept and pressed call. It rang twice. "Gideon Blackwell," a low voice answered. Rosa's throat tightened. "Mr. Blackwell, it's Rosa Ramirez." A beat of silence. Then his tone softened, just slightly. "Rosa, are you safe?" I don't know," she whispered. "Tell me what happened," Gideon said. Rosa swallowed. "Eleanor gave me something. She told me to call you. She said, 'Hold the line,'" Gideon finished quietly. Rosa's breath caught. "Yes." Gideon exhaled slowly, like hearing those words confirmed something he'd feared. "Do you have it with you?" "Yes." "Do not tell anyone," Gideon said. "Do not leave it unattended. Do not go into Eleanor's study alone. And Rosa, yes." His voice tightened. "Do not trust Caleb Sterling." Rosa's stomach dropped. "You know him?" "I know what he's doing," Gideon replied. "And I know why Eleanor kept me at a distance these last months. She didn't want him to realize I was watching." Rosa's hands shook. "They're in her study right now." "Then listen to me," Gideon said, sharper now. "Stay put. Don't confront them. I'm coming." Vivian had money, Caleb had charm, Harlan had paperwork, but Gideon had something they hated. He had patience. Rosa's voice cracked. "Vivian's trying to kick me out." "She won't," Gideon said. "Not until we're ready." "I'm scared," Rosa whispered. Gideon's voice softened like a steady hand. "Hold the line." Rosa repeated it, barely able to breathe. "Hold the line." The call ended. Rosa leaned against the door, shaking. For the first time since Eleanor died, she felt something besides grief. Hope. Hope was dangerous, because hope made you believe you could win, and the Hartwells weren't used to losing. That night, Rosa stayed in the guest cottage behind the main house. She locked the door, checked the window latches twice, and slept with the locket under her pillow like a child hiding a charm from monsters. At 2:13 a.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number, give it back. Rosa's stomach dropped. Another message came immediately. Leave it in the mailbox. We can make this easy. Rosa's fingers shook as she typed, I don't know what you mean. The reply arrived instantly. A photo. Rosa in the laundry room earlier, phone to her ear, captured through the window, taken from inside the house. Rosa's blood went cold. They were watching. Then a final message. Funeral tomorrow. Don't embarrass yourself. Rosa sat in the dark, clutching the locket, whispering the only words that felt like armor. Hold the line. The next morning, the Hartwell estate turned into a performance. Black cars lined the drive. Florists arranged lilies as if money could decorate grief into something manageable. Vivian stood at the center, receiving condolences like awards. Rosa moved quietly, helping staff, avoiding eyes, trying to become invisible again. But invisibility didn't protect her now, because now she carried the one thing they needed. Near the back of the house, away from the crowd, Caleb approached Rosa. He smiled like a friend. Rosa, may I speak with you? I'm busy, Rosa said, trying to step away. I won't take long, Caleb replied, voice warm. I know Eleanor trusted you. I respect that. Rosa watched his face, searching for the blade under the velvet. But grief can make people misunderstand. Caleb continued. Sometimes Eleanor made decisions out of fear. She wasn't confused, Rosa said. I didn't say she was, Caleb replied smoothly. I said fear can confuse everyone else. Rosa's stomach clenched. What do you want? Caleb's gaze dipped toward Rosa's collar, the faint line of chain. His smile stayed gentle. I think you have something that doesn't belong to you. I don't, Rosa said. If you cooperate, Caleb said softly, you walk away with a generous severance and a glowing reference. You start fresh. No drama. And if I don't? Rosa asked, voice shaking. Caleb's smile returned, almost apologetic. Then Vivian does what Vivian does. Rosa felt her cheeks burn. Caleb leaned in just slightly. People don't like when the help forgets their place, he murmured. Rosa's chest tightened with shame and rage. Don't turn yourself into the villain in a story you don't understand, Caleb said. Rosa met his eyes. I'm not a villain. Caleb's smile sharpened. Then don't act like one. He stepped back. Last chance, he whispered, before it gets messy. Rosa shook her head, small but steady. The warmth vanished from Caleb's eyes. Okay, he said quietly, then you chose messy. He walked away as if nothing happened. Rosa stood frozen, heart pounding. Then a gentle voice appeared beside her. Lydia Dottie Mayfield, elderly church volunteer coordinator and Eleanor's longtime friend, approached carrying programs. You look like you've seen a ghost, Dottie murmured. I'm fine, Rosa lied. Dottie hummed like she didn't believe her. You were Eleanor's girl, weren't you? Rosa swallowed. Yes. Dottie's eyes softened. She loved you. Rosa's throat tightened. She did. Not the soft kind, Dottie said. Eleanor did loyal love. And honey, you were loyal. Rosa's eyes burned. Dottie leaned closer. If you need someone to stand with you today, I will. Rosa exhaled shakily. Thank you. Dottie patted her hand. Truth doesn't need loud, she whispered. It needs steady. At the church, Vivian's first move was to separate Rosa. Rosa sits in the back, Vivian told an usher, loud enough for nearby mourners to hear. She's staff, Rosa almost complied. Almost. Hold the line. Eleanor asked me to be here, Rosa said quietly. Vivian's eyes flashed. She asked you to do your job. She asked me, Rosa repeated, voice shaking but firm. The usher hesitated. Vivian smiled brightly at the crowd. She's confused, she said, Grief does that. Then the sanctuary doors opened. Gideon Blackwell entered without fanfare, just a tall man in a dark suit walking down the aisle like he belonged there. People turned, whispered. Vivian's posture stiffened. Gideon's gaze met Rosa's for a second, steady, reassuring. Then he looked at the usher. "She sits where Eleanor wanted her," Gideon said calmly. Vivian snapped, "Too loud. Gideon, this is not your place." Gideon didn't blink. "Actually, it is." The usher stepped aside. Rosa slid into a seat near the front, hands folded tightly, locket warm against her skin. The service began. Words about legacy and love filled the air. Rosa listened, but her mind kept running. If Vivian and Caleb had already found the safe, why were they still panicking? Unless they didn't have the key. Unless Eleanor had outplayed them by placing the key with someone they would never consider dangerous. When the service ended, people filed out. Vivian moved like royalty among them. Caleb smiled and shook hands. Rosa stayed near Gideon, not because she wanted rescue, but because she needed space between the locket and Caleb's hands. Vivian approached Gideon, voice smooth. "Thank you for coming." "Eleanor mattered," Gideon replied. "And now we must handle practical matters," Vivian said, eyes sharpening. "We will," Gideon said. "Properly." Vivian glanced at Rosa. "We'll meet at the house for the reading." "Harlan will present the will." "I'll be there," Gideon replied. Vivian's smile tightened. "And Gideon, keep your staff under control." Rosa flinched. Gideon's eyes cooled. "Rosa is not your staff." Vivian's smile faltered. "Excuse me." "She was Eleanor's caregiver," Gideon said evenly, "a witness to Eleanor's final wishes. She will be treated with respect." Vivian leaned closer, voice low, venom perfumed. "You're making a mistake." Gideon met her gaze. "I don't think so." Caleb lingered behind Vivian, eyes on Rosa. He smiled softly, warning disguised as kindness. On the drive back to the estate, Gideon insisted Rosa ride with him. "Why are you helping me?" Rosa asked, hands clenched. "Because Eleanor asked," Gideon replied. "That's not the whole answer," Rosa said, voice trembling. Gideon exhaled. "Because I've watched this family use money like a weapon for years. Eleanor was flawed, but she understood something they don't. Power without accountability rots." Rosa swallowed. "Caleb wants the locket." "I know," Gideon said. "How?" Rosa asked. "He asked me about an heirloom last week," Gideon replied. "Caleb doesn't do sentiment, he does leverage." Rosa's voice shook. "They texted me. They sent a photo of me." Gideon's jaw tightened. "They're monitoring you." "I'm not a fighter," Rosa whispered. "You don't have to be," Gideon said. "You just have to be steady. Hold the line." They entered the estate. The great room had been arranged like a courtroom. Chairs facing Eleanor's desk, relatives scattered, whispers weaving. Harlan Price stood by the fireplace holding a thick folder, expression solemn and practiced. Vivian sat in the front row. Caleb stood behind her, hands clasped, eyes scanning. Rosa stayed near the back with Gideon, heart pounding. Harlan cleared his throat. "We are here to read the last will and testament of Eleanor Hartwell," he began. The will was ordinary. Properties to Vivian, accounts to Vivian, charity oversight to Vivian, polite bequests to staff, small checks that looked like guilt wearing a smile. Rosa's stomach turned. This wasn't Eleanor. Eleanor didn't do ordinary. Vivian's mouth curved with satisfaction as Harlan reached the end. "And the remainder of the estate passes to Vivian Hartwell, sole heir." Harlan closed the folder. Vivian exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. Then Gideon spoke. "That is not all." The room froze. Vivian's smile snapped. What? Gideon's gaze stayed on Harlan. Eleanor told me there was a codicil, sealed, separate. Harlan blinked too slowly. There is no codicil. Vivian laughed lightly. Oh, Gideon, don't start. Gideon's voice remained calm. Eleanor told me personally. Vivian's eyes narrowed. When she was sedated and confused, Rosa flinched. Gideon's gaze turned icy. Eleanor was sharper than everyone in this room until her last breath. Don't insult her to protect yourself. Vivian stood abruptly. What did you tell him? She snapped at Rosa. Nothing, Rosa whispered. Vivian's voice rose. Get her out. Caleb stepped in smoothly, hands raised. Vivian, please, let's not make a scene. He turned to Rosa, smile gentle. Rosa, emotions are high. Maybe step outside and let the family handle legal matters. Step outside, exactly what Eleanor warned against. Rosa stays, Gideon said. Vivian's eyes flashed. Why? Because she's your charity project. This isn't about me, Gideon replied. Vivian's gaze snapped to Rosa. Then it's about what she has. Rosa's breath caught. Caleb's smile faltered, annoyed at Vivian's bluntness. Then he recovered. Rosa, he said softly, if you have something of Eleanor's, we can handle it respectfully. I don't have anything, Rosa lied, but her hand rose instinctively to her chest. Caleb's eyes followed the movement. Vivian's eyes lit with certainty. She's wearing it. Harlan cleared his throat, seizing the moment. If theft is involved, we may need law enforcement. Caleb's tone turned almost tender. Return it now, and we keep it quiet. The room watched Rosa like it wanted her to confess. Rosa felt the old shame rise, heavy and familiar. The help is guilty until proven otherwise. She wanted to run, hold the line. Eleanor gave it to me, Rosa said, voice trembling but clear. She told me to keep it safe. Vivian's face twisted. You manipulative little... Watch your mouth, Gideon snapped, calm but sharp. Caleb stepped closer, palms open. Rosa, he whispered, give it to me. That's not safe for you to hold. Not safe. The truth slipped out. It wasn't about sentiment, it was about danger. Rosa swallowed, then did something she didn't realize she was capable of. She opened the locket. The clasp clicked. The gold shell swung open. Inside, nestled in velvet, was a tiny brass key. Silence. Vivian's face drained of color. Caleb's eyes widened, then narrowed. Harlan froze. Gideon's jaw tightened like this confirmed everything. That key opens the safe, Gideon said calmly. What safe? Vivian snapped, voice cracking. The one Eleanor told me about, Gideon replied. Harlan tried to interrupt. This is absurd. Eleanor left the estate. Unless you don't want what's inside seen, Gideon cut in. Vivian's breathing quickened. Caleb's smile returned, strained. Gideon, you're turning grief into conspiracy. Gideon's eyes stayed cold. No, you turned it into a heist when you moved boxes out of Eleanor's study before she was buried. Vivian's head snapped toward Caleb. You said it was inventory. It was, Caleb replied, too quick. Then you won't mind opening the study and letting everyone watch, Gideon said. Vivian clenched her fists. No, Gideon took out his phone. Then I call Sheriff Nolan Reese and file an emergency motion to secure the estate. Vivian's confidence wavered. Caleb leaned toward Vivian, whispering fast. Vivian's face changed, fear mixed with rage. Then she snapped, Fine, open the stupid study. Let everyone see there's nothing. They moved as a group toward Eleanor's study. Caleb walked too close behind Rosa, pressure without touch. At the door, Vivian's hand trembled on the knob. She opened it. The study smelled like leather, paper, and Eleanor's faint perfume. Something was wrong. The portrait above the fireplace was slightly crooked. Rosa noticed instantly. She'd dusted that frame 100 times. Gideon noticed too. "They've been behind it," he murmured. Vivian snapped, "No, we haven't." Gideon didn't argue. He stepped forward and lifted the portrait carefully. Behind it was a square outline in the wallpaper, lighter, disturbed, a wall safe. Gasps spread. Vivian went pale. Caleb's face tightened with calculation. Harlan's lips pressed into a thin line. Gideon turned to Rosa. "The key!" Rosa's hand shook so hard she almost dropped it. Gideon steadied her hand without grabbing, guiding, not taking. "You're doing fine," he murmured. "I'm scared," Rosa whispered. "Hold the line," Gideon replied. Rosa inserted the key. It turned smoothly. A soft click. The safe opened. Inside, a thick envelope sealed with red wax, a notarized document with a gold stamp, and an old photo, edges worn. Rosa's breath caught. The photo showed a young Eleanor holding a baby, and around Eleanor's neck was the same locket. Gideon lifted the sealed envelope carefully. The wax bore an E.H. "A codicil," Gideon said, calm, "and a letter." Harlan stepped forward. "That should be handled by counsel." "Not you," Gideon replied. Caleb's voice stayed smooth. "We can review privately." "No private review," Gideon cut in. "Eleanor sealed this for a reason." Vivian's voice rose, frantic. "Open it." Gideon glanced at Rosa. "Are you okay?" Rosa stared at the photo. The baby's wrist, a crescent-shaped birthmark, the same birthmark Rosa had on her own wrist. Rosa lifted her hand slowly, trembling. Her blood turned cold. "That baby," Rosa whispered. Gideon followed her gaze. His expression shifted, recognition and dread. "We document everything," he said quickly. Vivian's voice cracked. "Open the envelope." Gideon called Sheriff Reese. "Everyone stays where they are," Gideon said loudly. "No one touches anything." 15 minutes later, Sheriff Nolan Reese arrived with 2 deputies. Reese was middle-aged, steady, unimpressed by wealth. Gideon held up the sealed envelope. "Codicil, sealed letter, supporting documents." Harlan jumped in. "Improper handling," Reese looked at him. "And you are?" "Harlan Price, estate attorney." "Former attorney," Gideon said calmly. "If the codicil says what Eleanor told me it would," Reese nodded. "We treat it as evidence until verified." Vivian scoffed. "Evidence? That's ridiculous." "Ma'am," Reese said, firm, "that's how we stop people from destroying things." Caleb smiled politely. "No one is destroying anything. We're grieving." Reese's gaze lingered on Caleb a beat too long, like he didn't like the scent. "Open it here," Reese said, "or we take it to court." Gideon looked at Rosa. "Eleanor wanted this read. Are you ready?" Rosa wasn't ready for anything, but she nodded anyway. "Yes." Gideon broke the wax seal under the sheriff's watch and unfolded the letter. He scanned it, then began reading aloud. "To whom it may concern," Gideon read, voice steady. "If you are hearing this, then I am gone and my family is doing what it does best, fighting over my body like it's an asset." A murmur rippled. Vivian flushed. "Vivian," Gideon continued, "I loved you, but I will not reward cruelty." Vivian's mouth opened, stunned. "Caleb Sterling," Gideon read, "stop pretending you are the reasonable one. You are the hand behind the curtain." Caleb's face went still. The letter named it plainly: forged approvals, pressured staff, missing assets, insurance claims, and Caleb using Vivian's entitlement as cover. Then Gideon read the line that made the room feel colder. "I am leaving the majority of my estate in trust, managed by Gideon Blackwell, with oversight by an independent auditor." Vivian will receive a stipend conditional upon restitution to staff and counseling. Vivian went white. What? Caleb Sterling is disinherited entirely, Gideon read. Any attempt to contest triggers immediate release of attached evidence to law enforcement, Caleb snapped. This is forged. Reese's voice cut through. Sit down. Caleb's fists clenched. Then Gideon read the part that stole Rosa's breath. I'm acknowledging something I kept hidden for decades. I had a child when I was young. That child was raised away from this life. I watched from a distance, regretting my silence. Rosa felt the room tilt. I am naming my granddaughter by blood, Gideon read. Rosa Ramirez as a beneficiary and the person who holds the key to my final truth. Rosa's knees nearly gave out. Vivian gasped. Harlan whispered, No! Reese snapped, Quiet. Gideon lifted the codicil, formal, notarized, then the supporting documents, bank records, authorization forms, a ledger in Caleb's handwriting. Proof. He held up the photo, the baby's birthmark, the locket, Rosa's wrist mark. Vivian's voice rose, desperate. That could be anyone. It could, Gideon said evenly. Which is why we verify through DNA and documented records. Caleb's voice sharpened, slipping. You can't do this! Reese stepped forward. Actually, we can. Caleb turned on Rosa, hatred exposed. This is your fault. Rosa's voice broke. I didn't ask for this. Caleb laughed bitterly. No, you just showed up with the key. A deputy stepped between them. Reese held out his hand. Mr. Sterling, I need you to come with me, Caleb snapped. On what grounds? Possible fraud, theft, and obstruction? Reese replied calmly. Caleb looked around like a trapped animal, then forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Fine. As deputies led him out, Vivian stood frozen, chest heaving. She turned to Rosa, eyes wide with rage and disbelief. You're saying you're... I didn't know, Rosa whispered, tears spilling. I didn't know. You didn't know and you still took everything, Vivian choked. I didn't take... You took my life, Vivian snapped. Gideon stepped closer. Vivian, stop! You're on her side, Vivian hissed. I'm on Eleanor's side, Gideon answered. Reese secured the documents. We verify, he said, but this appears legally valid. Harlan protested, voice trembling with anger. Reese shut him down with a glance. That night, Rosa went back to her small apartment feeling like she was walking in someone else's body. Same hands, same tired eyes, same life, except now the world had labeled her important on paper. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think paper makes you safe? Rosa's blood went cold. She showed Gideon. Gideon's jaw tightened. Caleb has allies. I don't want enemies, Rosa whispered. Gideon's gaze held hers through the phone screen's glow. Then stop letting men like Caleb decide who you deserve to be. What do I do? Rosa asked. Gideon answered with the only mantra that still held. Hold the line. 2 days later, the courthouse hearing arrived. Vivian showed up in a black blazer and red lipstick, jaw locked. Harlan sat beside her, whispering. Judge Marla Simmons took the bench, gray hair pulled back, eyes indifferent to wealth. We will determine the validity of the codicil and issue protective orders, Judge Simmons said. Vivian's attorney tried to paint Rosa as a manipulator, a caregiver who influenced a dying woman. Rosa sat still, hands trembling under the table. Gideon didn't argue emotion. He laid facts. Notary stamps, evidence seals, handwriting analysis, the missing jewelry insurance claim filed by Caleb, the ledger, bank transfers. The DNA test has been expedited, Gideon added. Results within 48 hours. Judge Simmons nodded. Until then, all estate assets are secured. No transfers, no movement, no sales. Vivian started to speak. Judge Simmons raised a hand. Miss Hartwell. Sit. Vivian froze. Rosa felt something shift. Not triumph, but disbelief. She'd never seen Vivian told to sit by anyone who mattered. Outside, in the sunlight, Rosa whispered, I feel like I'm living someone else's life. You are, Gideon said quietly. You're living the life Eleanor hid from you. That night, Rosa opened the locket and stared at the tiny key, thinking of Eleanor's voice. Hold the line. She whispered it. Then she whispered something else, because she didn't want revenge. She wanted justice. Show me what's right, she breathed. 48 hours later, Gideon called Rosa to his office. When she arrived, Vivian was already there, stiff in her chair. Harlan sat near her, pale. Sheriff Reese stood by the wall. Gideon held an envelope. Rosa's stomach twisted. Gideon looked at her gently. Are you ready? No, Rosa whispered. Then, yes. Gideon opened the report and scanned it. It's confirmed, he said softly. Rosa Ramirez is Eleanor Hartwell's biological granddaughter. Rosa felt her lungs forget how to work. Vivian's face drained of color. No. Yes, Gideon replied. Rosa's voice broke. I didn't know. Vivian laughed once, bitter. Of course you didn't. Eleanor loved secrets more than people. The cruelty stung, but there was something wounded underneath it, grief twisted into rage. Reese spoke, steady. We found the missing jewelry, storage unit under Caleb's name, along with forged signatures and insurance claim paperwork. Vivian's head snapped up. Caleb wouldn't. He did, Reese said. And we found a draft letter, Reese added, where Caleb planned to blame Rosa for theft, force her out, silence her before she could speak. Rosa's blood went cold. Vivian's mouth opened, stunned. Then Vivian turned sharply on Harlan. Did you know? Harlan hesitated. That hesitation was confession. Vivian's voice shook with fury. You knew. Gideon's tone stayed calm. Vivian, you have a choice. Vivian's eyes flashed. What choice? You can keep fighting Rosa, Gideon said, and protect Caleb's lies, or you can cooperate, preserve what's left of your integrity, and stop being his cover. Vivian's breathing turned shallow. Rosa watched her, heart pounding. Rosa didn't want to destroy Vivian, but Rosa wouldn't allow herself to be destroyed anymore. Vivian looked at Rosa, eyes wet, voice cracking. Do you know what it feels like to realize your whole life was built on a story someone hid from you? Rosa swallowed. Yes. I didn't come to take your life, Rosa whispered. I came to bury Eleanor. Vivian's face twisted. And you buried me with her? No, Rosa said, steady. Caleb did. Silence. Reese spoke. Ms. Hartwell, if you have information, now is the time. Vivian stared at the floor. Then she looked up, and something changed in her eyes. Not kindness, not love, but direction. Caleb kept documents in my office, Vivian said quietly. Locked drawer. He said it was estate planning. Reese nodded. Will you give access? Vivian swallowed, pride battling fear. Then she whispered, yes. A crack of redemption. Not forgiveness. A choice. Over the next month, Caleb's case grew heavier, fraud charges stacked. Insurance fraud, theft and obstruction. Harlan resigned before disbarment could take his license publicly, but the Bar Association opened a complaint anyway. Vivian's image shattered. Some called her manipulated. Others called her complicit. The comment war was vicious. Rosa tried not to read it. Instead, she focused on what Eleanor demanded: restitution to staff. Rosa met with housekeepers, gardeners, drivers, people Vivian barely knew by name. She listened, unpaid overtime, threats of replacement, humiliation masked as standards. Rosa's stomach turned. She did something Vivian had never done. She apologized, not because Rosa was guilty of Vivian's cruelty, but because Rosa refused to let cruelty live unchallenged in the house Eleanor built. Gideon helped create a restitution fund under court supervision. Vivian resisted at first, then watched staff receive checks, coverage, overdue respect. Vivian's face changed, not soft, not suddenly good, but aware. One evening, Rosa walked the garden paths Eleanor used to walk. Roses bloomed, beautiful and sharp. Gideon joined her quietly. "I don't feel like I belong," Rosa admitted. "Belonging isn't granted by a house," Gideon said. "It's built by how you show up." Rosa swallowed. "Do you think Eleanor meant well hiding me?" Gideon exhaled. "I think she feared scandal more than she feared your loneliness. That was her flaw, and she tried to fix it too late." "It feels too late," Rosa whispered. "It is late," Gideon said, "but not useless." Rosa's eyes burned. "I miss her." "I know," Gideon replied. Rosa looked at him. "You do!" Gideon's voice lowered. "When I was a teenager, Eleanor made one phone call that saved my father's business. She never asked for credit. She simply decided we mattered." Rosa's throat tightened. "So you owe her." "I owe her," Gideon said, "and I'm angry at her." Rosa's voice cracked. "Me too." They stood in silence, grief between them like a shared language. Then Gideon's tone sharpened, practical. "Final probate hearing next week. Caleb's attorney will attack you. Vivian will be pressured, and Caleb's allies may try something desperate." Rosa's stomach clenched. "Allies?" Gideon's gaze held hers. "Caleb didn't do all this alone. Hold the line." The final hearing arrived. Caleb's attorney tried to paint Rosa as a con artist, a caregiver who suddenly became an heir. He pushed undue influence. He implied poor people always want something. Rosa sat still and let the words wash over her like cold rain. When Judge Simmons gave Rosa the floor, Rosa stood. She didn't wear diamonds. She didn't wear power. She wore honesty. "My name is Rosa Ramirez," she said steadily. "I took care of Eleanor Hartwell. I didn't know I was related to her. I didn't ask for her money. I asked for her comfort." Caleb's attorney tried to interrupt. Judge Simmons lifted a hand. "Let her speak." Rosa swallowed. "Eleanor gave me a locket. She told me it wasn't for beauty. She told me it was a key. She told me not to give it to Caleb Sterling, Vivian Hartwell, or the lawyer they controlled." Caleb's attorney scoffed. Rosa turned her eyes to Caleb, seated in a suit that couldn't hide the coldness in his stare. "Caleb texted me," Rosa continued. "Caleb threatened me. Caleb tried to isolate me. And Caleb stole from Eleanor while she was still alive." "Objection!" the attorney snapped. "Overruled," Judge Simmons said, gavel tapping once. Rosa's voice softened, not weaker, just human. "I don't want revenge. I want truth. I want the staff to matter. I want Vivian to stop hurting people to feel powerful. And I want Caleb to stop using humans like tools." The courtroom held its breath. Then Gideon presented the final stack. Handwriting analysis, storage unit inventory, insurance claim trail, transfer records, and Vivian's cooperation revealing additional documents. Caleb's defense crumbled. Judge Simmons issued her ruling. Codicil valid, trust enforced, Caleb disinherited, restitution ordered, protective orders granted. Rosa didn't cheer. She just exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath her whole life and finally got permission to breathe. Outside the courthouse, Vivian approached Rosa. Rosa stiffened. Vivian looked tired, real tired, not makeup tired. You won, Vivian said flatly. This isn't a game, Rosa replied. It always has been in my family, Vivian muttered. It doesn't have to be, Rosa said. Vivian scoffed softly. You're naive. Maybe, Rosa said, or maybe I refuse to live like you. Vivian's eyes flashed, then surprisingly softened a fraction. Caleb played me, she whispered. Rosa's throat tightened. Caleb used you because you made it easy. Vivian flinched like she'd been hit, and for the first time, she didn't swing back. Gideon stepped closer, quietly. Vivian, if you want any chance at rebuilding, you stop defending people who burn your life down to stay warm. Vivian swallowed hard. I don't know how to be wrong. Rosa looked at her, voice low. Then start small. That should have been the end. But Caleb's story wasn't done trying to write itself. That night, Rosa's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You think a judge can protect you? Another message followed. Hold the line and you'll break. Rosa's blood went cold. Gideon didn't let her go back to her apartment. He moved her into a quiet guest suite in his home. Privacy, not luxury. Strategy, not charity. In the morning, Gideon took Rosa to a small diner outside town. Because in Hartwell County, truth traveled through coffee cups before it reached courtrooms. Dottie Mayfield was there behind the counter, flour on her apron, eyes sharp. She saw Rosa and came around the counter without asking. Baby, she murmured, hugging Rosa tight. I saw what they posted. Rosa's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for other people's evil, Dottie said firmly. Gideon nodded at Dottie. We need information. Dottie's face turned serious. Then you need to hear this. Vivian's fixer is moving. Fixer? Gideon asked. Dottie lowered her voice. Russell Fay used to be a deputy, got fired. People pay him to make problems disappear. Rosa's stomach dropped. Disappear. Dottie nodded once. He was in here 2 nights ago. Made a call. And thought I was too old to notice. She pulled a receipt from her apron and slid it across the table. On the back, messy handwriting, RF. Paid cash. Keep caregiver quiet. Thursday. Rosa's blood went cold. Dottie, Rosa whispered. Why didn't you tell the sheriff? Dottie's eyes hardened. Because the wrong person in this county can make a report vanish. Gideon won't. Gideon's jaw tightened. We take this to Reese. Now. They drove straight to the sheriff's office. Reese read the receipt, eyes narrowing. Russell Fay, Reese said. I know him. Rosa's voice shook. He's coming for me. Reese's tone turned firm. Then we don't wait for him to make a move. We set a net. Here's what Reese understood that most people didn't. The most dangerous moment isn't when the truth is hidden. It's when the truth is exposed and the guilty realize fear didn't work. Reese arranged a controlled sting, legal, documented. Rosa hated the idea of being bait, but Gideon looked at her and said quietly, They already chose you as a target. This is how we change that. Hold the line. Rosa agreed on one condition. No corners, she told Reese. No, almost. I want him caught clean. Reese nodded. Clean. That afternoon, Rosa went to the Hartwell estate one last time, not alone, not unprotected. Reese had deputies nearby, unmarked. Gideon stayed within sight. The plan was simple. Russell Fay had been making calls about the caregiver. They needed him to show his hand. Rosa walked the garden path toward the old staff entrance, phone visible, locket tucked beneath her blouse. Within minutes, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Meet me at the greenhouse. Bring the key, or your mother's secrets go public. Rosa's stomach clenched. She showed Gideon. Gideon's eyes went cold. He's confirming coercion. Rosa's voice trembled. Greenhouse. Reese's voice came through Gideon's earpiece. We're set. Rosa's legs felt like water, but she walked anyway, steady, not fast, because fear made you obvious. The greenhouse sat behind the property, glass walls, ivy, the smell of damp earth. Eleanor used to come here when she needed silence. Rosa stepped inside. A shadow moved between ferns. Russell Fay emerged, broad shoulders, work boots, eyes like a man who enjoyed being paid to scare people. He smiled without warmth. Rosa Ramirez. Rosa kept her voice steady. What do you want? Russell stepped closer. You're causing a lot of trouble. I didn't start it, Rosa said. Russell shrugged. Trouble doesn't care who starts it. It only cares who finishes it. Rosa's throat tightened. You threatened my mother. Russell's smile widened. Your mother's file is interesting. Rosa's hands shook, but she didn't step back. That's intimidation. Russell laughed softly. Call it whatever you want. I call it leverage. He tilted his head toward Rosa's collar. The locket, the key, hand it over. Rosa swallowed. I don't have it. Russell's eyes hardened. Don't lie to me. I'm not Vivian. I don't play dress-up with feelings. Rosa's chest tightened. Russell stepped closer, lowering his voice. Last chance. You walk away. You keep your little apartment. You keep your little life. You stop pretending you belong in Hartwell money. Rosa's cheeks burned. Then she heard Eleanor's whisper, as if it were inside her ribcage. Hold the line. Rosa lifted her chin. No. Russell's expression shifted. Annoyance, then anger. You think you're brave? He hissed. You're just stubborn. Rosa's voice shook, but she kept it. I'm steady. Russell reached out. Before his fingers could touch Rosa, the greenhouse door slammed open. Russell Fay! Sheriff Reese's voice cut through like a siren. Deputies flooded in. Russell froze, eyes widening, calculation flashing. Then he bolted toward the back exit. A deputy tackled him into a table of potted plants. Glass shattered, soil spilled. Russell cursed, thrashing. Reese stepped in, cuffs ready. Russell Fay, you're under arrest for coercion, witness intimidation, and attempted extortion. Russell's face twisted. This is a setup. Reese's tone didn't change. Good. Rosa stood trembling, tears spilling, not from weakness, but from the shock of relief. Gideon stepped in beside her, voice low. You did it. Rosa's breath came in short bursts. I thought he wanted you afraid, Gideon said. Fear is his job. Reese looked at Rosa. You okay? Rosa nodded shakily. Yes. Then Russell spat toward Rosa, eyes wild. This doesn't end with me. Reese hauled him up. Maybe, but it starts with you. Russell was dragged out, and for the first time since Eleanor's death, the air felt cleaner, because justice wasn't just a ruling on paper. Justice was stopping the next hand before it could close around your throat. In the weeks that followed, Russell Fay's arrest cracked open the rest of the network. Reese found phone logs connecting Russell to Caleb's burner numbers. Emails surfaced linking Harlan Price to suspicious filings and missing paperwork. Caleb's charges expanded. Bail was denied. Harlan's license was suspended pending investigation. And Vivian, who had been furious at first, became something else under the weight of public truth. Not suddenly good, but forced to face the mirror, she completed the restitution requirements faster than anyone expected, because for once, she understood that delaying only made her look more guilty. One afternoon, Rosa walked through the Hartwell estate, not as staff, not as a ghost, but as someone with legal standing. She hated how strange that felt. In the kitchen, the housekeeper Maria looked at Rosa with cautious eyes. Are you leaving? Maria asked softly. Rosa shook her head. No, I'm making sure nobody gets treated the way we did. Maria's eyes filled. You really mean that? Rosa nodded. I do. Gideon helped Rosa establish a small oversight board for the trust. Local, transparent, monitored, not because Rosa wanted power, but because she had learned what happened when power had no witness. And Vivian. Vivian met Rosa on the porch one evening, hands tucked in her pockets like she didn't know what to do with them. I still don't like you, Vivian said bluntly. Rosa blinked, then almost laughed. Okay, Vivian swallowed. But I'm tired of being the worst person in every room. Rosa's throat tightened, then stopped choosing it. Vivian's eyes flashed. You make it sound easy. It's not, Rosa said. It's just simple. Vivian looked away. I'm trying. Rosa studied her, then nodded once. Trying is where it starts. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't forgiveness. It was a truce built from truth. Months later, on a quiet morning, Rosa returned to the cathedral alone. No cameras, no audience, just Rosa, a candle, and Eleanor's memory. She sat in the same pew where Vivian had tried to erase her. Rosa opened the locket and held it in her palm, the key that had unlocked a safe and a life. She whispered the words again, softer now, less desperate, more certain. Hold the line. And then she added something she'd never been able to say before, because she hadn't believed she deserved it. I'm still here. If you were Rosa, what would you do with Vivian now? Team forgive and build, or team keep distance and protect your peace?